The moment of death. And now for the section that has drawn many of you to this text. Humans are intensely curious about the moment of death because it represents a mystery, and in fact, the final mystery. You have wondered for millennia if someone loving is there to greet you, and you have feared that someone judging will be waiting for you in order to punish you. Depending upon what you believe will or might happen, you have shaped your living in order to live toward that kind of end. Sometimes when people describe their near-death experiences, they sound poetic, and it can be hard to take in what they say. At times, writers, thinkers, artists, and theologians have allowed their imaginations to run free as they picture pearly gates and harp-playing angels, a happy or unhappy bearded male god sitting on a throne, in some way handing out gold stars or demerits. One of the things to know about the moment of death is that the human context is no longer applicable. Consciousness shifts out of the body. Your whole life, your sense of who you are, has been tied to your body. And unless you have had numinous, mystical, or altered consciousness experiences that have changed your idea of who you are, your life has likely been limited to a sense of being in your body. As it turns out, many people believe that they are bodies, and the moment of death is a surprise because consciousness continues as it separates from the body. For some, an explosion of the pre-existing context of consciousness occurs, snapping their attention to what it is to be an energetic being. There can be a rush as awareness begins to be sensed outside the confines of the body and the previously assumed limits of selfhood, if the body was believed to be the self. For others, a gentle giving way of what has always been for the human unfolds. People nearing death often report seeing a light or witnessing a veil part. The boundaries between dimensions are ready to dissolve if the person is willing to see something new. Those who allow this to happen will become aware of the guides, masters, and/or angels that are awaiting the person's death. Each human has a guidance team made up of different sorts of beings, and all of them are available to you. Most humans do not know this. Others have a sense of it or have heard directly and voluminously about it, but might not believe that they deserve loving guidance and support. For others, such a team of disembodied beings might seem like enemies if he or she lived life trying to block out the existence of what cannot be seen but could not be ignored with the senses and emotions. You see, it's not uncommon for a person to believe that his or her mind is all there is. Humans are clever, and over time usually become more so. The dominant culture ethos on Earth for quite some time has had the primacy of mind and intellect, reason, emphasized above all else. Many aspects of your lives reflect this cultural value. At the moment of death, the context of the self needs to change drastically, and a newly departed consciousness might not be willing to see what is there. If it is not open to the possibilities, it can create a sense of being closed, and therefore what is in front of the consciousness can in fact not be loving. The loving frequencies that in fact await all who pass away are there, but if one is not open, they will not be apparent. This is how it's true that a person's predeceased relatives can be waiting to welcome him or her, but he or she cannot see them. The person might even wander around the time-space dimension unsure of how to transition into the next phase, or not knowing that there is one. You have all heard of such spirits wandering around, and your entertainment media have made much of turning these unfortunate situations into box office smashes by frightening you about the unknown. They have no idea how it works, by the way. So you can go ahead and lose all the ideas that you were scared into through movies and television about tortured souls and ghouls that haunt people and try to hurt them. It is all nonsense. If the newly departed consciousness allows awareness of the guidance team, much release and warmth can flow. Deceased relatives, those who have died before the individual and have gone through what we call the orientation process, are there and have much to share with the individual consciousness. Now, in principle, this is soul itself, but covered over by elements of personality that shape who the consciousness, the recently dead person, thinks he or she is. Deeper elements of conditioning persist, as do elements of personality such as opinions and certain kinds of emotional memories. I will explain what happens with these elements of self in the next section. Now I want to make clear to you that a recently deceased individual whose consciousness has separated from the human body has a choice. 1. It can open to a new phase of identifying consciously as more than a person with a body and have its awareness stretched open to feel new vibrations of love and support, paving the way for the orientation process through which it will learn the purpose and the function of all important relationships and choices during the recent human life. Or 2. It can decide to remain closed to the unknown and not let anything new in, setting up what can be a lonely and painful process of wondering if there is safe haven and if anyone loves it, if it deserves to go to a good place, but fearing that maybe there is no such place and no support.